welcome to the first coach call of the SUPERPOWERED FLL season. It's August 29th, 2022. Coach calls are an opportunity for coaches to ask any questions they might have. We'll oftentimes have our head referees, Jay Church and myself, on the call. Sometimes Brian Farrell, our judge advisor for Wisconsin, will be on the call. And either myself or Steve DeCabiter, who are currently temporarily filling in to lead the FLL program in Wisconsin, will be on the call also to answer any questions you might have. So, being the first call, I'm not sure if people have questions yet, but we're here to help you out. And
I have a question.
yes.
And this one is for the robot games. So in the Mission 07, the wind turbine, you put 3 energy units in there, and then you have to, push it in to make them come out. Our last one keeps getting stuck. Is there like what happens if it gets stuck in competition?
If it gets stuck in competition, we'll take a look at the mission model and determine if there's an issue with the model that's causing it not to dispense the final one. I would suggest that you keep a watch out for the game updates that first posts on their website, because I have a feeling that this is an issue that other teams have seen, and
it kind of gets crooked in there when the last one comes down because there's not another one pushing on it to make it go all the way down, and then it just doesn't seem to release and roll down.
Wasn't there an update to that one that came out a couple of days ago?
Oh, there could be. I didn't check the updates. I've been really busy trying to get all my new coaches up to date and get the program going already this season.
I did check updates today, and I didn't see any revised.
I saw that it was in the mission model building instructions. They had an update for it that just came out on Thursday last week. So I don't know when you built it, but
so to build differently, maybe.
Yes, I think so.
So Kathy, I have a question for you. This is Jay. I don't have my field kit yet. Brian has it for me. I have to meet him to get it. Is it a speed related issue, or is it just an alignment issue that third one is?
I think it's an alignment issue because when you see, so they all line up in there and go down, and then there's a little bit of weight on it because the others are pushing on them. But when you get to the last one, and it doesn't happen every time, but it happens sometimes when you push the thing in to release it and it just gets stuck and goes a little crooked in there instead of staying straight.
So I think in general what we try to do at tournament, if like Jeff said, there may be something going on here model related that they may or may not update. But in general, what we do when we test for mission model failures for something like that is after the match is over, we'll reload all 3, or what I would do is I would reload all 3 of the units in there and just do them by hand, and see if they work. And if all 3 come out, then I wouldn't call that a mission model failure, right? But if it got stuck when I was activating it by hand as well, we would probably give the mission model failure. Well, we would give the model failure for it. So that's generally the check that we do.
Okay, because I haven't done it with the robot. I've only done it with my hand, and sometimes it gets stuck, and sometimes it doesn't. It's maybe half the time.
Okay. Well, the reason I ask if it's a speed issue is if it's something that is only activated by speed. Remember, we've had a couple, the airplane, the cargo from last year. If you did it fast, it would go. It would fall out the front. If you did it slow, it fall out the back, right?
Mm-hmm.
So those are things that if it's a speed related solution to the problem, they would expect you to solve that using programming.
Okay, so we should maybe just try it at different speeds and see if it still happens. And
well, honestly, I haven't seen anything about this update yet.
I pasted the link to the model update in the chat for the PDF nonverbal.
Okay.
It was
Okay.
bag 7 updated
Yeah.
5th August.
Mhm.
But
It looks like
they
they've
didn't seem to
updated
annotate it.
they've updated the build instructions. They were also supposed to release a game update
Ah,
talking about this, and it looks like they have not done that yet.
okay. So keep an eye out for that.
And
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
and so if you download the updated bag 7 instructions,
Mm-hmm.
here, let me share my screen.
Can I open that while I'm on here and not lose the Zoom call?
You should.
You should be able to.
Okay, I don't use Zoom very often. So.
Well, Jeff is
Well,
going to
it's
share his
just-
screen, so just hang on and let him
Okay.
do it.
Yeah, it's just a window, so should be there still.
So the step they changed is step 59. Originally, let's see if I can annotate this. Originally, this piece here was
Mhm.
slid all the way over onto the end, and there was a too long similar piece. And so
Oh,
it looks like
yeah.
they've eliminated that, and they've only got this one piece on there now. So
Okay.
that's the change they made to the build instructions. So I would give that a try and see if that fixes your issue.
Yeah, I will look at that tomorrow when I go in. We're having our kickoff meeting tomorrow, so I can take a look at that before that happens.
So if you look on the overall model, it's sitting here right next to the green piece.
Mm-hmm.
And so you want to get rid of the too long and keep the 4 long piece, but center it.
Sure, that makes sense. I will do that. I will update them both.
And I will contact first and find out what happened with getting the game update posted on the website and why that didn't happen. But they did update the build instructions because both of those were supposed to happen last week.
Okay. Excellent. Thank you.
And I'll give you guys forewarning on some of the robot game questions. So we have not had our referee meeting yet. That's probably more my fault than anybody else's. It's been pretty hectic with getting the kid off to college and stuff. But I'll get with these guys, as soon as we can, if we can this weekend or something, and kind of go over our yearly meeting and see if we can, make sure we have a handle on things. But I'm happy to take down any questions you guys have. If they're pretty simple to ask via the rules that are posted, we can answer them for you. But if it requires a lot of consulting and talking back and forth, I probably will not answer those today. Because I don't want to tell you guys something now and then we change the way we see something this weekend or something. But feel free to ask. I mean, we have had a couple questions. Oh, yeah, I agree, Eric. Yeah. Sorry. Eric sent me a message. So anyway, we'll get together once updates and stuff are posted that we know are coming, and we'll kind of get our head wrapped around how we want to deal with some of the more complicated rules. But simple ones we're happy to go through with you.
I have a question that it's a little bit more like structure related, and maybe you guys can just point me in the right direction. I have had like incredible numbers of interest. It's our second year doing first at my school, and like we had 7 kids on the team last year, and this year there 20 kids want to do it. So it's just me, and nobody else at my school. We're a very small school, has like the capacity. I've got a couple of high schoolers who want to like help out, and I'm working with them to kind of like be leaders as well. But what is your suggestion for dealing with like large numbers? Obviously, I've already registered 2 teams. But if you have any other like suggestions or ideas or resources.
I just want to say I'm jealous.
Alex, do you have a second adult coach on your team, or I'm just curious how you registered?
Yeah, I have my co-teacher at my school,
Okay.
but she is not really interested in like being a hands-on coach. She's
Okay.
kind of just like the other person at our school, so is aware of Lego League and supports what we do, but is the other person for signing up. So
I'm happy to tell you my experiences there, and somebody else may have different experiences. So I started off kind of the same way. There was when my son first joined, I just had an interest in helping them coach, and we did notice throughout the years there was always for us 1 or 2 parents that would stick around and help coach or showed interest, and would volunteer to be a second coach or even a primary coach on a different team. So you haven't already, I would definitely gauge interest from the parents. But yeah, especially if do you plan on fielding 2 teams?
yeah, right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, you need some help. You can't do it by yourself.
Yep.
It's a lot. That's a lot.
Okay. Yeah.
I would suggest 4 adults. That would be my personal suggestion.
Mhm.
2 for each team, even if you have 2 main coaches, to be able to have, those hands, you're going to need them, especially if you're all practicing at the same time slot. It's going to be a lot.
Right.
Right. And I guess reaching out to parents is a great idea. I would suggest, at least initially, you reach out to them asking for assistance rather than asking them to be the primary coach, because that'll be intimidating
Yeah.
at first. So bring them in gently and lean on them heavily then.
Yeah, I've been trying to, like, I've offered a bunch of different ways parents could volunteer to help, and they've jumped at everything except for being at practices supporting that. So they're up for event transportation, they're up for designing t-shirts and getting those done, and they're up for like helping us celebrate with snacks and stuff. But being in the room during practice is hard. I was thinking of going to Badger Bots and asking if they had any contacts for people in the area who might be up for supporting. I don't know.
One thing we've done in the past is we've just put a sign up sheet and told parents that they had to sign up for days. Otherwise, we couldn't have a team. In the past, we've had a lot of problems getting enough adults to have enough teams. And this past year, when we did our interest meeting, we pretty much told them that, you know what, we're going to have 1 team for sure, which is going to be 8 kids. And if we don't get any more parents, there isn't going to be any more teams. So we ended up with 3 teams, which is all we can handle in our room with our schedules right now. We had enough interest to have about 5 or 6 teams, but not enough parents. There's always that whole parent thing. But we've in the past required, they just said, you know what, we can't have this team unless we get parents. And, and maybe it's that they rotate in. So if you have 10 kids on the team, they're only there, every other week for a night or something type of thing. That's kind of how we've done it in the past, just to be able to have teams and have enough adults there to keep the kids on task and all that kind of stuff.
Right. Yeah, to be honest, I've already had like practice for a couple of weeks, and the kids have been doing a really great job, like with me as the main adult and 2 high school mentors. So I don't know. I mean, like, I'm gonna see how it goes, but I think you're right. Kind of holding feet to the fire is a good idea that I haven't had to do yet, but maybe we'll have to this season. So thank you.
There are some regions that absolutely do that. They the number of teams they have is directly dictated by the number of commitments they get for helping. Like some teams some regions may have 3 teams 1 year because they have the volunteers, but next year they can only do 2 or 1. So yeah, that's not it's just going to get to be a lot. I mean, you're going to see it'll get to be a lot pretty quick. So
Yeah, absolutely. And then how have you all like decided who is on the teams then? I'm curious.
So we started a new process, and for our teams, we started about, I think it's 4 or 5 years now, because we used to have so many people apply. Like we're talking like 90 students apply for a team who wanted to be on the team, and we did not have obviously the capabilities to have that many teams. So we actually made out a very simple application that they have to fill out, and it basically directs them to the challenge page on firstinspires.com, and then it asks them to read through the challenge guide, to think of a problem that is in, well, this year it would be in the energy journey, and then come up with a solution. So they have to do a little bit of research, but not a whole lot. And then like I always require them to answer in complete sentences, explain their answers. Like we want paragraphs, not 2-sentence answers. And then we ask them to watch the robot video, and then we ask them about, how would you do this mission? What motions would the robot use? Would this mission be easy or hard to accomplish, and why? Then we go through, what are the core values? Which one do you think is most important? And then we just ask for, their skills or reasons why they want to be on the team. And that actually, just having these kids have to do this has actually reduced the number of applicants we've gotten. And I think it's because when these kids come to the meeting, and the families in general come to the interest meetings, and find out that there's so much more involved than just Legos and robots, that not as many kids are interested. And then it's also easier for us to see which kids are really putting the effort into the application, and we can tell those are the ones that are a lot more serious about it. And since we've done that, we've had really great kids, just that are so passionate about the program.
So Alex, was your question more about how do you get 20 kids, how do you split them between 2 teams?
Kind of, yeah. And just like managing that, and getting adult support too.
Yeah, I mean, kind of talked about the adult support. It's hard, trying to make it mandatory, sign up. I guess another thing too is, my history with people is they say, well, it's robotics, I don't know anything about it, but that's not really what you need. Okay, you need, project management, herding cats, and a couple other, more soft skills than figuring out how to solve the robot problem, because the kids will figure that out, but it's more keeping them on task and many of the other, kind of administrative things. So, from a parent perspective, working with them that way too, we realize what kind of skills you're looking for, as opposed to, they have to know how to build and program a robot and wire up circuits or whatever, right? Since it's a power year, that's not really what you're asking for, and making sure they know that. And then from which kids to put on which teams, kind of the advice I remember from some of the documentation from years ago was, don't try to come up with the powerhouse team, kind of mix them up and let the dynamics work to your advantage of, the kids with their skills, and see who shines, in each team, but not try to overthink who's on each team is kind of the thing that sticks with me from what I remember from the past recommendations. With that said, I've, really only done one team at a time, but I do remember reading that.
So another resource that you could try is the First Senior Mentors. So if you're in Milwaukee, Madison, kind of the southeast of the state, it's Jane Blau. And if you're in the north, it would be Emma Schuff. But a lot of times there are like companies in your areas or other youth groups that might have adults that might be willing to mentor. So I'll put their contacts into chat, but think that's definitely reaching out to them, and they might be able to put you into contact with someone.
That's great.
Anybody has any other questions about Steve, were there any questions that you need to field? I know you have to get out a little bit early. Is there any topic in specific that you're fielding tonight, or?
I don't think so. I'm sort of the rookie out of the four of us. Yeah, right?
I didn't know if you guys had decided that you were going to take some questions and maybe Jeff was doing other ones or whatever. I wanted to make sure anything that you were planning on fielding, we would get done first. So, because it seems not. Looks like Jeff gets everything.
Yep.
So Jeff
Wonderful.
gets all the questions. Steve gets the list. I got it. That's how it works.
Yep.
Perfect. That being said, are there any other questions that you guys have right off? I mean, I didn't mean to scare you guys away by saying we wouldn't answer robot games. I mean, we'll certainly try to answer them. I just, anything that's going to require, smashing some brain cells together, I don't want to step on that and not give a fair chance to the meeting that we usually have. So let me see if I had a couple on Slack while we're waiting for you guys.
Nothing I've seen on Slack.
I've had a couple rule questions. One or two they were asked to keep them private, so I want to make sure I don't read those. That being said, so if anybody is watching this for the first time and you guys are not aware of the Slack group that we have, it's a very good resource for you guys to come over and there's a couple different channels, I guess they're called, where you can actually ask robot game questions, and usually Jeff or myself will be there. We obviously have day jobs, but we'll get there when we can and try to answer your question there. And Brian has one that he monitors when he gets a chance on there as well. It's usually pretty quick, but that's a pretty efficient way to get a hold of us, and I highly suggest. I'm sure the people here that have used it for the last year or so now would definitely agree. EO. Eric just put a link to it in chat, and actually I will try to remember to get that posted on the recording too. So actually that's what I'm doing now. I'm going back to the Slack channel and I'm looking to see if some of the questions we have answered we'll want to share on here, because usually a lot more people will watch the video. I know we have some of our regular coaches that aren't available tonight, so we'll be.
While you're doing that, Jay, I'm curious, does anyone have things that they do that work well just to generate initial ideas for the innovation project?
Okay, so I'll give you. Was anybody talking? I'll give you guys an example of one of the things that are posted on the Slack channel. Like Peggy, one of our regular coaches, had a question about one of the missions. She said, when they move the looped water and activate the model, the energy unit pops out of the model and it rolls towards home 4 out of 10 times. So she's asking, if there's any kind of leniency or any kind of ruling for a mission model failure or anything like that. These are the kind of things that we can answer on the Slack channels pretty easily. You don't really have to wait for these meetings or anything like that, but we will try to review the questions that we have on there and read them out to everybody, unless we've been asked to keep them private, because some strategy questions they don't want to share with other teams. So the problem they had is it was an uneven table. Their table is not level. So they were wondering, what happens in a situation like that if you're at tournament and a table's not perfectly level. You know, are we going to call a mission model failure or not? You know, I know you guys are dying to know the answer to that, right? And I think that is the other ones were kind of private ones, so I don't want to share those. Is everyone here because they got a link via email? Is that how everybody found the link today, other than the Slack participants? Okay. Well, I'm not going to keep making you guys ask questions if you don't have any. Brian or Jeff, did you guys have anything you wanted to get out there? Or just kind of stay tuned, or?
No, just a reminder. There's two parts to it. There's the robot game and the research project presentation. So don't let one get focused on without the to the detriment of the other, because you'll need them both for the tournaments.
There's also core values.
Absolutely.
Yes.
That's interweave the whole thing.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and be the first one this year to ask for volunteers right away. So if you guys are thinking about how you can help out with the program, we always need judges. Was that you raising your hand, Bobby? We always need judges. We always need referees. For you new coaches out there, I know this is weird to hear me say because I'm a referee, but I highly, highly suggest new coaches volunteer for judging. Not that we don't want you for referees, but I found when I started coaching, that was the number one way to learn what's expected. I felt like I was just kind of winging it until I learned behind the scenes what the judges are really looking for, how to read the rubrics, stuff like this. So I highly suggest new coaches try to get into one of the early tournaments for judging, and then once you do all that, come to ref with us.
I'm willing to come down your way to do a scrim too.
All right.
I can't bring my team, but I'll come.
We need to get you private transportation, Bobby. Oh, see, Alex said did it last year. It was the greatest. Yeah, it is good. It's I can't give anyone a better resource than read your rubrics as a new coach. Read your rubrics, understand what they're asking you for. I always used to tell my kids the very first day, if I could give you, the best thing I can give you is the answers to the test, right? The rubric is the answer to the test. Understand this, and you know what the judges are looking for. So now as coaches, we need to help them understand how this works and, the process behind it. So absolutely, judging is probably the number one way to do that.
And we use the same rubrics that first post, so it's not like they're a secret.
Absolutely.
Yep.
That's what I'm saying. It's absolutely the answer sheet. So
And I'll post them in the chat so people have them. I'll post the link to them to write on firstinspires.org.
And so do keep an update for the challenge update that we know is forthcoming. Well, when I see that hit the regular page, I'll also post that on the Slack channel as well, so we can get that out as quickly as we can. But you guys should, well, and also for new coaches, I'm not necessarily talking to you guys here because I know a lot of you guys are not new. For any new coaches that may be watching this, you guys should have a kid checking for updates, 2 to 3 times a week. They used to post them on Tuesdays. I'm not sure if that holds true anymore. There's been a little change of things, but definitely before practices.
I've not heard a specific date they're going to post them, so
Okay.
I will check with First on why they haven't posted last week's updates yet.
So definitely before you practice every round, because updates, and again, I'm talking to the newer coaches. Updates supersede rules that are there now. So we don't want you guys practicing and and having improper mission models like we see today. when there are updates. So we don't want you practicing and programming into missions that may have changed by now, or rules that may have changed. So definitely before every practice, or before you guys get started at practice, have a kid pop on, just make sure that there are no updates. And if they are, go over them, make sure they understand what they mean before you start practicing the next day, because we do take the current updates when we go to tournament.
Yep. So in the newsletter that you received, there's a link to where FIRST posts all their documents, the updates Jay's talking about, the rubrics Brian mentioned. And so you can find the links to those in the newsletter. If you're going to FIRST's website, you can, if you go to www.firstinspires.org, pull down the programs menu, go to FIRST LEGO League, game and season. And here on the side, on the left side, you'll find links to the materials for the various FLL programs. We're talking about the challenge program, which is, if you go to that, you will end up at the resource library page. And so here you'll find the
Jeff, I'm not
the
getting
rubrics.
I'm not getting the window you're showing. I'm seeing other things on the desktop.
Oh, I'm sharing the wrong thing.
Was there any lottery numbers or stock info in there that we need, or?
I don't know what was all on there.
I'll make sure. I'll check it before we post it up.
Let me try that again. I thought I shared. This is what I meant to share. Okay, let me go back to the beginning.
There we go.
Okay, now you should be seeing www.firstinspires.org. Go to programs, FIRST LEGO League, and game and season. Click on that. And here you'll see the list of Discover, Explore, and Challenge. The Challenge program is the one that we're here talking about. So you click on that and you'll be brought to the resource library. Up at the top here, you can find the build instructions, the challenge updates. Down under judging and rubrics, it's where actually you find the robot game rule book, the rubrics for judging, judging session flowchart is down here. So a lot of useful content.
Any other resources or questions anybody can think of? Anything pops in your head afterwards, just I guess I should ask, if they have questions for email, can we still go back to that same email that we used to? Jeff, can they just reply back to their newsletter? That's still a valid.
You can reply back to the newsletter. The newsletter should have come from FLLteams@badgerbots.org. So if coaches, mentors ever have any questions about anything FIRST LEGO League related, they can email that address. If it's a judging or referee question, we can get it forwarded on to Jay and to Brian.
Brian, I think you should take the night off. All right. Well, I don't want to just keep asking if anybody has questions over and over. So if you guys have anything that comes to your mind, I think we gave out the information on how to get a hold of us. Let's see, I've done my begging for judges and reffing. Anything else, guys?
This part in the season, that's about it.
Yep. Okay. Last chance for questions. Okay.
We're meeting every Monday night, right?
That was my very next question. I was just getting ready to ask Jeff that. Are we doing this every week now, or are we?
Every week.
There we go.
Okay. How are we doing Labor Day?
Every week, but that
Okay,
one.
we're not doing every week. We're skipping next week.
Okay, that's fine. I just thought it's kind of exceptions. I'm just asking.
Remember when Jeff said every week? Scratch that. Yeah. So we'll see
Barbecue
you,
at Jeff's house.
right? We'll see you guys in 2 weeks then, right? Because yeah, so not next week. So we'll see
If
you
you
guys
have
in 2
questions
weeks.
in the meantime, Slack channel.
Yep.
Great way to contact people. Plus, get help from your other coaches.
Yeah, so some very, very experienced, very very good answers from the coaches on there. So again, new people definitely use the Slack resource. We have teams that have gone all the way in the Global Innovation Awards, like really top level teams. We have teams that have been at the World Championships and did very, very well. So definitely lean on those guys, and they're all super helpful. So. All right. We'll see you guys in 2 weeks then. Bye, Bobby.
See ya.